So this is just a short video on how to take wax starter strips and put them into an Ecobee Box mini hive frame. The wax strips generally go right here in this groove, and if you talk to Al down at Ecobee Box in Murray, Utah, he says you can take the starter strips and they have a little wax paper on them, light them on fire a little bit with a match, and then as they burn, drip them into here and then take your starter strip and stick it in there. I prefer not to use matches, at least in the shop, so I thought the next best thing might be a heat gun, and you can get a heat gun. This is a real cheap model from Home Depot. I think it was about 25 bucks. But the process is quite simple. So generally when you get these from Al, they might be just a little long to stick in there. So you can see that it's just a little bit too far to stick right down in there. So you can take a pair of scissors and you can just simply cut that strip down. Remove the wax paper here. I've got a pair of 10 snips here, which is overkill, but I'm just going to trim off a little bit of that so that it fits in there nicely. You could even just break it off. But what that does, get this out of the way a little bit. What that does is gives us a little bit of extra wax here off this strip. So you'll see we can now easily just slide that in there. But I'm going to go ahead and take that little piece of wax, just nip it right in half. A pair of kitchen shears or something would be just as easy. I'm going to drop that little piece of wax right in there, just like that, on both sides. And take the heat gun, move my other strips, anything flammable out of the way. You can see that I've got some little piece of sheet metal cut here that I'm working on. You can get these for less than $1 at Home Depot. You want to be careful with the heat gun because it does put out quite a bit of heat. We'll melt that wax right down in there. Just get off. Keep your fingers out of the way. Once that wax is melted in there, you can take your starter strip, slip it right in there, let it sit for just a second, and it sets up nicely. And once it's cooled, turn it around and your starter strip is in there nice and solid. So a little slicker than using any fire or anything, but pretty slick nonetheless. You can angle it just a little bit while it cools, and once it's done, you're set to go. Put it in your box and you're set.